So I'm heading down the coast past Wollongong to Tragedy Beach, and whenever I'm heading down this way I always try and add a few minutes to stop and have a cup of tea and take in this beautiful view. Look at this. So here we are, start a sound check. Let's hope that screen disappears, okay, by the time we play. It will. This is a good venue. Hi! Well, thank you, Floyd, for coming and being my interviewee today. Much
Pleasure.
appreciated.
In lovely Taronji.
In lovely Taronji, in these particularly nice surrounds with lots of rude pictures on the walls.
Yep.
And
dick pics everywhere.
dick pics.
Yeah, I don't know, you probably won't be able to see them in the film.
That's probably lucky, but I don't think you'd be offended. You've probably seen it.
I have seen these before, yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. Okay, well, we're here to do Monterey today. And just out of interest, do you remember when we met? Maybe not when, but in the circumstance?
Would have been back in when Joe Acaria was producing a recording of yours, was it?
Oh, I didn't even know you knew that, but...
I played on an album of yours.
Did you play on...
I played a guitar, yes, that's my guitar playing.
I kind of did know that, but it's been so long, I probably didn't know you at the time.
No, I don't think I even knew you, that's right, yeah. Joe Acaria produced a recording for you, and he got me to come and play guitar on this track. And
oh my God!
That was, I'm sure it was your album.
No, you're right.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yes.
A long time ago. Because I was thinking the first time I met you that I remember was when I was touring with Wendy Matthews, and you were doing the support.
Oh, okay. Well, with my band or on my own?
No, solo.
Solo.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
well, maybe both, but I saw you and met you when you were solo.
Right. Oh, okay. And okay, yeah.
Around
I remember
the same era, because that's how I would have met Joe. Joe was Wendy's drummer.
That's right, and I wrote some music with Wendy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was.
And I played on her album too.
That album, which is the album that I was touring with her.
Right, okay.
That's what she was promoting at the time.
So I played on that album, and I did some songwriting with her too.
Yes, I remember that. And then, separately, we started doing tributes together, so it wasn't actually related.
It wasn't much after that, though. It was pretty similar, those early shows in the basement.
Yeah, probably the Rumours show would have been the first one.
How can I ever change things that I feel?
Yeah.
And then Rolling Stones and a whole lot of other stuff. But you're probably known best as one of the most successful and enduring touring acts. With your own
just keep going.
Music, but you do so well at it.
Well, you keep going. It's something that for a long time, after we got it started, it's something I took for granted for a long time. But in the last maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I've started to look around and go, wow, nobody else is still going. We're still going.
That's it.
We're still going. Like,
what's the secret?
And everyone else stopped. I think it's like we love doing it. It's economically sustainable for a start. We actually, enough people come that we keep getting gigs, and we don't do as much of it as we used to. And I think partly it's also because we did so much when we started doing that back in the 90s. We toured 200 shows a year for a long, long time, for 15 years probably.
So when you say touring, you're not only talking about Australia.
Australia, everywhere. Yeah, we toured Europe every year as well. So that was a lot of gigs and a lot of touring, and then when we decided to peg it back a bit, we just kind of picked the best areas we were most popular in and just kept going back to those. And so there's been parts of the east coast of Australia just so good to us, like Byron Bay, Newcastle, Brisbane, places like that. You know,
and it's not a terrible thing to have to keep going back there.
No, it's great.
It's so nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we are next week. My band's playing in Newcastle next week, and Brisbane the week after.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you seem your whole career to have been quite staunchly indie, and nowadays pretty much everybody mostly chooses to be indie, but also just is. But you kind of made a choice when that wasn't the case. Was it a choice, or was it just the way it happened and it worked?
It was the way it happened and it worked, really. Yeah. And we did go as far as getting signed by Universal in the late 90s.
Was that recording or publishing? Or?
A recording. I had a record deal with Universal.
Yeah.
But that was well down the track, and we'd already toured Europe toured for years. You know, we'd already toured for 10 years, full on,
Yeah.
before they really got keen about it. And we made an album for them that we released around the world. But it was very indie. Yeah, there was almost like a punk kind of do-it-yourself.
Part of the aesthetic, wasn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It was just like do-it-yourself. You know.
And I read.
And it always has been.
Yeah, and that's a good thing,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah, yeah.
But I read some stories about the earlier days when you had an all-female road crew, which I thought was very interesting.
True.
And they were also your decorating
Yeah, they did the interior decorations
of the stage.
Yep.
And you also had support acts like belly dancers and snake charmers.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What did you
We're
make
just
those
trying to do
choices?
interesting things.
Yeah.
We're just trying to do stuff that other people weren't doing. There were a lot of people around. Like I was living in a warehouse in those days in Chippendale. There were about maybe 30 or 40 people living in that warehouse altogether in
All
different parts.
musos, or-
All sorts. Photographers, dancers, you know, just this big art community sort of thing. So there was just lots of people to tap into. Everybody looking to do things.
I see. So they were people that you might have been living with. And
Yeah, mate. Yeah, some were, and they were friends of those, and so we
Yeah.
made videos there as well, and they were video makers and all sorts of stuff.
Didn't you have a video that did really well and helped
Yeah.
kind of kickstart a lot of
did,
things
yeah.
for you? So was that the same kind of deal when you met someone?
No, that was a bit before. That was a couple of years before that era. But it was a guy I shared a house with
Yeah.
in Bondi Junction. He decided to make a video. I decided to make some music. It was the first decent song that I'd written.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd ever gone, you know what? That's a good song. Okay,
Yeah.
that took a long time, but that's a good song. You know, it took me years to get to that point where I could do that. But and then he made a video, and the video won Best Music Video Award in Australia for
That's
the
amazing.
year. Triple J and Sony.
And indie.
In
those days,
yeah, it was
indie.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we won this award, and so the video was on all the TV shows, and,
Yeah.
and the song got on the radio on Triple J and Double J it might have even been then,
Yeah.
and that helped kickstart the whole thing. So then Harbour Agency contacted me and said, hey, you know, we'll look after you. You
Yeah,
know, get a
amazing.
band together, and you know, so.
So you were just a solo
I was solo at
artist.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even have a full set of songs.
Right.
Didn't even have an hour of material. I had about half an hour of material. So I had to write the rest of the set,
Yeah.
and then
Get the guys
get
in
a band
the
together. So I got Russell Kilby from the Crystal set, Richard Plough from the Church, a few people from Paul Kelly's band, and it was like an inner city
Yeah.
party boys kind of band, and then that was the band for a while.
Yeah. And how does a band like you in those days start touring overseas?
No, that was a little bit further down the track, probably 3 or 4 years maybe after that. I got signed by Warner's for publishing, and so they started shipping my demos out around the place, and we kept getting bites from Latino countries. You know, it was Spain,
Yes.
Italy, South America, places like that were
Yeah.
going, hey, you know, you should come over, we like this, and we should do something. And so after touring Australia for quite a while and getting good at being a touring band, we decided to take it over there. You know, it was just like, it was the logical next step.
I was going to ask you that because you listen to your music and there's some obvious Spanish and South American influences there, but you don't look to have that kind. I've met your parents. You know,
No,
I don't
they're
think you have that heritage. So where did that come from?
It just came from the early guitar compositions that I learned when I was a kid. So when I started playing,
flamenco.
Flamenco and classical guitar. So all those composers are Spanish, South Americans, mostly, who wrote most of that repertoire.
Yeah.
So I started learning that as a kid, and I guess it came from that.
So what were your first memories of music as a kid?
I do remember seeing a band play in a shopping centre when I was about 3 or 4.
I'm sure they were great.
I don't remember anything about what they did, except I did look at them and think, wow, it's very interesting, you know, what's going on there? And the fact that it was also loud and electric, and I was like, oh.
That was a good thing.
It was a
for
good
you?
thing, yeah, I like that. I do remember liking that. I was very small though, very tiny kid. Then I really got into things like I did get into music young, so I started buying albums when I was 11 or 12, like actually buying artists' albums.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first kids in my school. I had 1 or 2 other friends who also, we would actually seek out albums and buy albums and stuff. So it was mostly Slade, T-Rex, people like that.
Really?
Yeah, that was the popular music, you know,
Yeah.
glam at the time.
So did that come from your parents, the love of music, or?
Really? No. My grandfather was a musician,
Ah.
but my dad really likes music, but he didn't ever play it.
Yeah.
No, it was just, I just had a dream that I would be a musician. I would play guitar.
Ever since you were little?
Yeah, I do remember having this very specific dream. And what's interesting, because the black guitar that I play now most of the time is the guitar that was in that dream.
No.
Yeah.
So ever since you dreamt it, were you looking in shops for
I
it?
didn't. Yeah, I'd see it. I saw it on a wall in a shop once. And I went, oh, that's that guitar from my dream. And I think it's the same guitar that I have now. I'm pretty sure it's that.
For people that are really into guitar, can you please describe
It's a black
guitar?
A black Gibson Les Paul.
Mm.
So back then, that would have been a pretty current guitar, but the one I've got is like 69 model, so this would have been about 73 or 72. So
How amazing! So you always felt like you were going to be a professional musician, guitarist.
I did, yeah. I did, and it, like always, except that it took a long time to get it together, because I didn't.
That's normal.
I didn't know anybody who did it, and I had no mentors or any way to learn about it, because there were no courses back in those days.
No.
There were no music courses to learn how to do this stuff.
So it surprises me when I hear that you didn't have any specific influence as a kid. It's like you were born with something.
Just liked
some desire of it.
Just liked it straight away. Yeah.
So did you ever have an idea that you'd like to be something else?
No, not really. I think about halfway through high school, I kind of got slightly diverted on the idea of being a lawyer.
Right.
But that was just because people thought that was a good thing to do, and I just remember watching lawyer TV shows and thinking it looked good.
Yeah.
But I never really took that on very seriously. That was just a while. That was the only other thing. Other than that, I read psychology when I was in my early 20s. I like that. I like psychology. But I don't think I'd like to be a psychologist.
Well, law and psychology are probably both quite useful pursuits for musicians anyway.
Very much.
Law, especially the legal part.
Very much, very much.
So at what point did you actually seriously go, this is what I'm going to do?
I think when I got a gig with John Paul Young.
How'd that happen?
I was just getting a growing reputation around Sydney as a guitar player, just like a backup, singer and guitar player. So their guitar player was leaving the band, and they needed a new guitar player. They went around, Warren Morgan Pig, who was the MD, went around the music stores and checked out, looking for guitar players. Anyway, I got recommended, so I went down for an audition. I got the gig, and I do remember once I got that gig, I thought, right, okay, that's, because
I'm actually the real thing now.
This is the real thing. These guys are professional, like working all the time, record deals, managers, hit records. This is the real thing,
Did it feel like a big jump up from where you were?
It was a big jump up from where I was. Yeah, absolutely.
And how was that first gig with them?
Good. Yeah, it was all kind of a bit kind of weird, but it was good because we rehearsed a bit before we got to do the gig. We had quite a few rehearsals getting it together, but that was a big jump. I do remember thinking that was one of those punch the air moments.
Yes.
We go, yes, okay, right. And then once people see you on Hey Hey It's Saturday and all the time, then everybody who thinks that music's not a real job, they kind of go,
they start to be convinced.
Oh, okay, maybe that is a real job.
How fantastic. And so at that stage, was John Paul Young pretty successful?
Yeah, He already had like 12 or 13 hits.
Wow. So did you get the Screaming Girl thing?
Bits, bits. So we could play like an hour set and we'd play almost all hits. It's
amazing.
Guaranteed great result,
Yeah, for sure.
Or original hits, as well.
No one else's, yeah.
So, he was one of the most successful. I joined his band in '83, so all through the '70s, he was probably the most successful solo singer. Him and Farnham, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's been gigs that we've kind of done with him since, and he's still around, and he's still really
He's awesome.
good.
Yeah, he's real good.
Yeah,
he's underrated singer.
Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's a killer.
I rate him highly personally.
Yeah, no, but a lot of people think, he's a pop star and whatever.
Because he was.
Well, he was that too, but he was a great singer.
Yeah, and always was.
I saw him sing 4 nights a week, just nail it.
And he hasn't lost anything.
No, he hasn't lost it.
He sounds really amazing.
He's one of those people who, he also doesn't warm up. He doesn't...
Really?
No, not that I ever saw.
But aren't you a bit like that? You say you kind of, the guitar was your thing, but you're a great singer. Is that a natural thing?
No, these days I do try and warm up a little bit if I can, because I don't sing like he does. Like, he could just sing, nail it immediately. I'd take 15 minutes to...
That's good to know. You're human.
To get to the point where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I don't feel comfortable. Yeah.
Well, how did the singing start? Because it was the guitar thing that you were after.
Yeah, guitar. I was a guitar player who's happened to sing. Yeah.
But nobody would say that now. You're equally both.
Yeah, that's developed over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a guitar player who could sing. Then I was a backup singer and guitar. And then once I realised, okay, well, I've got to write my own music. I want to do my own music. Once you get to that point, then what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Give it to someone else?
Give it to someone else, or work out how to do it yourself. So I just pursued that path, and they let me sing a song in John Paul Young's band as well.
Ah, what song was that?
I sang. What was it? Brian Ferry. Let's Stick Together.
Oh, that's a great song.
Anyway, but that again, that also gives you the confidence of okay, this is working.
And if John Paul Young wants you to sing, then
Yeah, it's all right. You must be all right.
You must be all right.
Yeah.
So you've travelled lots of different countries touring.
Yeah, heaps.
I mean, I've heard some of the stories when we've been at gigs, but what's the most interesting country to tour in?
To tour in?
Interesting as in different, weird, strange.
Different, weird, strange. Oh, gee,
You've done a few probably.
Japan's very different, isn't it? You know?
Yes, well, I've lived there and it's one of my favourite countries in the world.
That's real different.
Tell me your experience there.
Well, you just, except for the fact that I was with people who spoke English, I wouldn't have had a clue. I wouldn't know what to do, where to go, or how. It was like it's
part of the fun, though, right?
Yeah, and now we've got Google Maps. At least you got to find a map to get.
And Google Translate.
Yeah. But back in the 90s, that was like only the infancy of the internet.
Yeah.
When we were touring in Europe, and we would tour Eastern and Western Europe.
So Eastern Europe had to be interesting.
That was it was. That was probably more interesting, I guess, because it was weird. Like Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, places like that, where the whole band could have an afternoon in the pub on a day off, and we'd have beers and sandwiches and everything and drinks, and at the end of the day you get the bill for $10.
Yeah,
$10.
That's alive.
Wow, okay.
Did you get paid well as a musician though? And
not as well as you would in, say, Germany, of course.
Yeah.
But better than a local musician in that country would have got.
Right. You were special because you were from overseas.
Yeah. So we're getting better fees than the locals would have got, but still, it didn't really make any economic sense to go to those countries, but we did it anyway.
Because it was fun.
Because that was what.
Yeah.
That was the mission.
And surely you could go to Germany and do well there.
Yeah, that's right.
Then you're so close to everywhere else anyway. You might as well do the live.
That's exactly what it was, and the philosophy was, as long as we don't lose too much money, the gig is on.
And you still have an amazing experience
have a great time.
and
Sure,
everything else.
Because there's, Slovakia, I would never have gone there as a tourist.
Yeah.
So
if you were going in the 90s, things would have been a bit dodgy at times.
Yeah, and I think we were the only, in Slovakia, they said, the only people who'd ever played there were Peter, Andre and In Excess and us. So we were the third Australians to play there, apparently.
Wow, and how did you get to play there?
Through a German promoter.
Right.
Who booked stuff for us in Germany on other tours, and they were connected into Slovakia for some reason. We ended up in this gig.
Yeah. So how different is it, apart from the everyday culture of these countries, how different is it performing?
Performing is not that much different, I guess, but getting around the rest of it is, like the sound check, for example, when you can't speak the language, to Hungarian sound engineers and stuff, and you all
up, down, more.
A lot of grunting and a lot of pointing, and you all kind of know what needs to happen, so you can point at the DI and they'll get what's going on, but there's no language, you've got nothing. Yeah.
How about the crowds?
Crowds?
They react.
Good, yeah. Good, particularly Taban Park in Hungary. We played to, I think it was the second gig in Europe ever, and we played to 15,000 people in a Hungarian music festival. And I got in there because of Jack Zarsky. Russian with love, I fly to you, much wiser since my goodbye to you. Jack Zarsky connected me with the Hungarian Jazz Federation, and they were running the festival.
Yeah.
And they put us on, and there was 15,000 people there, and we played our thing, and it went nuts, and I just went.
And they loved it.
They loved it. No, and we just went, oh, okay, wow, this is going to work.
Yeah, and so you kept on going back.
Yeah, I kept going back there.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was great. It's great. So Eastern and Western Europe for a good few months every year.
Yeah. It's probably a very difficult question because I know if someone asked me, it's difficult for me to answer. But do you have a favourite gig For all these thousands of gigs you've ever done?
Probably the ones that were most regular, that were just reliable for a long time, just amazing. Beach Hotel Byron Bay.
Ah.
There was probably a good 10 years there where we could pack that place and it would just go off every sort of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We'd be back there for probably a decade.
Still?
Yeah.
Would you still be able to do
No,
that
not
kind of
now.
thing
No,
now?
not as much now.
Yeah.
No, but back in our heyday of that era for that venue.
And the music's heyday as well,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right. That venue's not going as well as it used to
No.
either. But we have kind of pockets of time in a particular place. Like before that one went off, there was one in Noosa called the Beach Chalet. And also like 10 years, I reckon, that place went off. Monday nights, capacity of about 220, and we'd get 200, 220 people every Monday time. Every Monday for 6 weeks, Monday night.
Fantastic.
Amazing. That was a great gig, just crazy. Paris Green, another band that I was in at the Sando at Newtown, that was a residency that ran for 10 years, Monday nights. I did it for 5 years. Charlie Owens did it for the rest of it, and that was a great gig too, just packed and crazy, just amazing.
Any stick out as being, whether a long running thing or a particular night, stick out as being really terrible?
Not really.
How great is that?
Yeah,
You've had this huge career, and nothing stands out as being terrible.
I think I have that capacity to
to block it out.
Block it out. It must be my. That's why people say I'm a happy person. I just don't remember the bad gigs.
That's good.
I don't remember the bad gigs really. I mean, of course there've been some, but I can't really remember them.
What makes a bad gig, though? You know, in general.
Equipment failure often.
Yeah. Sound for me.
Sound
and
equipment. Yeah, it's like when you can't hear everything properly.
Yeah.
When you're playing by numbers and just hoping it's there's no response between the players when you can't hear each other properly.
Yeah.
Things break. Maybe your amp breaks or your guitar breaks or something goes weird just at the wrong time, and that puts you off for half the gig or more. That can be the worst, I think.
So what are you most proud of in your career?
I don't know. I guess just the longevity.
Yeah.
Just the fact that we're still here. Like like I was saying before, the last few years I've started to realise we're still here.
Yeah.
We still keep going. If we wanted to push it harder, we probably could and do even more of it. But I can't really do that because you spend too much time away from home.
Yeah, when you get older and you have families and more houses,
you've got to tour.
Mortgages, and
you've got to tour. You've got to tour to keep that going.
Do you think that's still the same?
Yeah, pretty much. Like living in Sydney, I could play in Sydney with my band every now and again, but you just can't keep playing
the same places all the
No, you can't do that. So you've got to get out around the country and overseas, but you've got to do that. So and I just can't do that at the moment. Or like we went to Japan, but I did a couple of gigs, and I took the family with me, and just got to be. I prefer to be more around home.
Yeah, but how about the online thing?
I never really got. I'm sort of a bit of a Luddite on the online thing. I haven't really got that involved.
Yeah.
My website's like, we updated it a couple of years ago, but it was out of date for years. It was really in shabby shape.
It doesn't sound like your audience care about it.
They don't. No, I don't think it matters that
and you
much.
have to do.
As long as these days, if you put it on Facebook, do a sponsored post on Facebook, and the venue puts the poster up.
Then that really helps.
Gig guides, that's enough people come.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to get. I've filmed stuff. I'd like to get more sorted out in that area. Probably will into the future.
Multimedia.
Yeah, with multimedia and stuff. But there's only so much spare time.
That's right. But nowadays you've got. I think you just recently built a studio at home.
Just about to.
Oh, just about to. So
haven't done it yet.
Not up and running yet.
Not up and running yet. I've got the space. I'm doing research on acoustics at the moment to work out the design and how I'm going to go about it.
So how do you think that'll change things for you?
I don't think it. Well, I don't know, because it'll be great to be able to record music and just do whatever with it. I mean, because you don't really have to make a CD anymore. You can just put stuff out on Spotify, straight away. So you could go track by track.
Yeah.
If you feel like it,
Yeah, for sure.
Although our audience would still buy CDs, they still do.
Yes.
We did a festival.
So does mine.
Yeah, we did a festival only about 4 weeks ago. Called Lakeside, and people come up and there's a merch tent and they buy CDs.
It's funny how many people say, I don't buy CDs anymore and Spotify's the future. I actually made a decision not to put, I've just released something just like last week, and I decided not to put it on Spotify at all. And I've got some of my older material there, so that, argument about if you want to be discovered, which I don't actually, what of the millions of people that could be discovered, are they going to find me anyway? But there's still some of my music there, but my latest stuff isn't there because I get 0.0001 per play, cent per play.
Oh yes, yeah. No.
Anyway, and I think I actually love Spotify as a user, but not as an artist. So I like listening to someone tells me about an artist, and I go, okay, I dial it up
Quickly,
and I press the button and go.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes I press and go, oh yeah, that's good, and then I've forgotten about it and I never play it again because there's been so little effort to play it in the first place that it doesn't necessarily stick.
Yeah.
And I would actually rather try and get more engagement
through
my music with somebody, and I think if it's not there and they have to work a little bit harder to get it, that can be a good thing.
Yeah, I had an experience at home about a month ago where I put on 2 albums and vinyl and had the covers and read the words.
I love that.
I really enjoyed that. I haven't done that for a long time,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that experience and thought, wow, I'm going to do that again. And I have.
You have.
I have,
you
yeah.
start to remember that experience.
Yeah, it's great.
Again.
It's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
To have that.
Did you release vinyl?
No, I haven't. But I have years ago.
Yeah.
My first recording was vinyl, but that was when vinyl still was a thing.
Yeah. But it's a thing again.
Yeah, it is again now. So maybe.
Would you consider it?
Maybe. Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I think a lot of people who come to our gigs probably would buy some vinyl. They're CD buyers as well.
Yeah. Often the same people actually.
Yeah. There's still CD players in cars and stuff. So.
Yeah. So I read on your bio that you happened to meet Frank Zappa.
I did, yes, that's right.
So tell me about how did that happen and what did you learn from him?
What was he into? He was into government intrigue at the time. Into
conspiracy theories?
I don't know if they were conspiracy theories or not, because he was really. I don't think he struck me as a conspiracy theory guy. But we had a mutual friend who hooked up to go out for dinner.
Right.
So he and Gail came and picked us up and we went out for dinner in a Thai restaurant in LA, and we drove around for a while. His car was running out of petrol and he wouldn't get out of the car to put any petrol in the car.
Why is that?
We drove because he didn't want to get out of the car. And I thought...
Because he didn't want to be recognised?
Yeah.
Is that a big issue?
It was, and I didn't realise how big it was until later on. And then because for a while I was sort of thinking, okay, this guy's a bit paranoid maybe or something. But then when he did get out of the car and I realised, saw what happened in the restaurant, I was like, there's Frank Zappa. And we had to go and eat in a private room.
Really?
Yeah, and they're also in LA, just in that time, there a lot of really crazy people had been let out of institutions. They were all on the street. While I was in LA that week, a lot of people kicking in shop windows and knocking down poles in the streets, and there's quite a bit of violence going on, and he was a target. You know, I think he'd already had somebody broke into his backyard at one point. He had to talk a guy down with a gun in the backyard. So yeah, he wasn't particularly paranoid. It was just realistic.
Reality.
It was realistic of what his situation was. Yeah. But what else was he doing at that time? He was living a 26-hour day. That's right. He was going to bed 2 hours later every day, waking up 2 hours later every day. So because he could get more done.
He was going to bed 2 hours later.
Waking up, yeah. So he was just, instead of on a 24-hour cycle, like he was on a 26-hour cycle.
So you get less sleep every night?
No, he was still sleeping the same amount, but like one day he'd wake up at 8 a.m, the next day 10 a.m, next day midday.
So you get more done at the end of the day, but he'd lose
4
at the
p.m,
beginning of the day.
6 p.m, wake up at 8 p.m.
Is that a thing? I've never heard of that.
I think he got it from NASA or somewhere. and he had the lifestyle where he could do that.
Yeah.
And I think he worked with 2 teams of engineers in the studio because he'd exhaust the first lot, they'd go home and he'd keep going with the second lot. And he could do that. So he could live that kind of a lifestyle and apparently get the most out of himself, you know.
How amazing.
Yeah.
So, I guess I asked about him because it's always nice to know if there's been anybody you've come across that you've learnt anything or been particularly influenced by.
Yeah, at a time, I suppose I didn't really know that much of his music at the time. I found out more about it around that time.
Did you kind of go back and go, I had dinner with Frank Zappa?
Yeah, no, it was a bit like that. Like,
yeah.
Wow, I'm having dinner with Frank Zappa. That's crazy. You know?
Yeah.
Like, people won't believe that.
Yeah. Well, now you're an educator as well as a musician. So if I asked you to have only one thing that you could leave your students with, and of course you have the opportunity to give them much more than one thing, and you can really share your experiences with them and hope that they learn from that. But if you only had the choice to tell them one thing before they walked out of the door of an institution and into the music world, what's the most important thing?
As musicians? Mm-hmm. I think maybe don't overthink it.
Yeah, right. Don't stress about it?
Don't think too much. don't think too much. Just do it. You know, be well rehearsed, but just do it. Don't think too much. Because I always find like writing songs and writing material and even performing, thinking about it's the enemy of doing a good job.
I think definitely with songwriting, because as soon as you start judging it, especially in the early days, and obviously people are going to think this and there's no point. And you haven't even got it to the stage where it's ready to be put out anyway, so you can't start judging early.
No, absolutely. There's no point being judgmental, just do it.
Yeah.
And don't think about it. Don't think, just do.
Yeah.
And it's the same with soloing on an instrument. It's the same like with our band, because we've been playing the same things for ages. Like we can have some gaps between shows, and we can still come and play a good show. But the idea is, like, if you think what part of the song comes next,
no, that's the worst.
It's a disaster. That's when you'll forget. That's when you won't know. But if you just don't think, it'll all just happen.
Which is
you'll get to the end
to
of the gig, and it'll have all been fine. It's all good.
Yeah, harder to do. I mean, than it sounds.
Yeah, because if you go, oh, what if I think to myself now, what is that bridge? What is the first chord? I don't know.
Same with the lyric.
Yeah.
What's the first word of the next verse?
Yeah, what is that? I don't know. But as long as I sing the verse before it in the same order, it'll just come out. It'll be there. It'll come to my head just at the time it needs to.
And it's having the confidence to know that too, isn't it?
Sure.
And even when you're particularly nervous and thinking, no, you can't let that take you over. Do you have any tricks not to be nervous?
Not really, no.
Have you ever been a person that suffered from...
Not too bad, no, not too bad. Although it's the weirdest thing, like I would get nervous occasionally, more nervous playing to 10 people or 15 people than 1,000 or 15,000.
Do you think it's because you can see their eyes?
Yeah, maybe.
They're looking at you.
Those big festival shows, you can't see anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a sea of heads. And
That's
you can't,
right.
There's no personal connection.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I remember our band, while we were playing it, the show, we all looked at it and was like, hey, this is weird, isn't it? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
With the really big ones.
Yeah. It's like, you can talk to each other and it's like, and there's a barrier between you and them as well. You know, like an air gap security thing, and then a fence, and then there's all these people, and wow, look at that, it's crazy, huh?
So what is the thing about music that makes you love doing music so much? Whether it's the performing or the writing or a mix of all of it?
I don't know what it is, but it's a thing for sure. It's a great feeling. There's just a great feeling that comes from it. And
is it because you're expressing yourself in some way?
Yeah, but even if it's not my music, it comes from other people's music to me.
But you're still you mean when you're experiencing
when I'm listening, you know, I get the same thing out of listening.
general.
So it's just music in general. Like it's somebody else's expression to me. We'll do it.
It
My
moves
expression
you.
is great. Yeah, that's a great thing for me. But even if I'm listening to somebody else's music, I'll still get that same joy. At some point, there's some kind of great joy in music that scientists will work out sometime.
Yeah, well, hopefully they never will.
What that is, you know.
Stay like a magic.
Yeah, maybe.
Magic thing. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. Is there anything you wish I'd have asked you about? Is there anything any gaps that I've left?
I was just thinking while we were talking about the power of music.
Yeah.
I brought this thing in to show you. It's called a singing bowl.
Very intriguing.
Let's see if we can get it on here. Here we go.
What a beautiful sound. That's insane.
Crazy, huh?
It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic. It's called a singing bowl, and it's I bought it in Vietnam. I think they're Tibetan. But they talk about the power. They use them in meditation, and they think that they're physically healing and stuff.
I'm not surprised. It's a particular tone that when it was making a beautiful sound, but then it builds up.
It can build up
really
and that can be so
strong.
loud. Like that gets really loud.
Is it a particular note that is important?
No, that one. Yeah, that one's F sharp, I think.
Right.
But you can get. I've got a few of them, and they're all different pitches.
Wow.
And they take to get used to play it. You just get used to the touch, and the smaller ones you have to go a little faster.
Yeah. Have you ever used them in your recordings?
No, I haven't, but I will.
Yeah.
I bought a collection of gongs as well. You know, there's like bong, dinner is served stuff.
So is this when you've been travelling overseas and touring?
Yeah,
you've
find
discovered
something
something else.
Something, and, I have. Let's have one of
So what's next for you?
For making the studio at home, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm researching that at the moment and gathering some microphones and gear, but just researching the idea of that, the design of it and everything. And then gigs.
So then another album will be on the way, and then
eventually.
more
Yeah,
touring.
we haven't made that many albums when you think of how long we've been playing. But because recording was expensive, you know, in the earliest days.
Yeah, definitely. But it's going to be a lot more achievable with your own studio.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also like sound. I'm interested in sound, so I have some typical recording spaces, but I'm going to do some experiments in there as well. So do some interesting experimental sounds, I think, as well.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, where can we find out more? And the gigs?
The gigs, floydvincent.com. There's a tour dates little tab there.
Yes, excellent.
I always Facebook them anyway as
Yeah.
well. But the website's got a tour dates bit.
Speaking of, when I met your parents, I realised their surname was not Vincent.
Oh, that's right, yeah, I made that up.
So where did that... I love the fact that you've got this theatricality thing in your music. Where did you get the name from?
Vincent van Gogh.
Hey!
Vincent van Gogh was my favourite artist at the time. And I like art, so he was my favourite artist. Floyd was my nickname from back in the days of playing with JPY. Pig,
right.
The keyboard player, gave me the name Floyd.
Well, his name is Pig, so someone else had to have a nickname.
So he called me Floyd, and that stuck. So I was just Floyd for ages. And then when I first put out a recording, I went, Floyd what? Floyd. My last name's Patterson. That sounds like a chemist. So Floyd what? And I thought Floyd Darley. No.
Oh, you were going through the artist that you liked.
I go, no, that doesn't work. Floyd Vincent, hey.
There's something about that.
It's a good name, it's a good name, and I wrote it down, and it looked good, it sounded good, there you go.
So at the moment you're Floyd Vincent and the Temple Dogs, and you've had different lineups, so you've had Child Brides.
The Child Brides years ago, but the Temple Dogs, basically the same team though. It's Bill Jacoby on the bass guitar, has been playing for 25 years. Dave Marcellus on the drums for 15 years. It's the same people.
Yeah.
That's when you get that great organic team thing that you can't buy that stuff.
No, true. The longer you work with someone, you get each other, and it only takes an eyebrow. He's going to go to the
they hear what you play. We know where it's going there. Yeah. There's this great interplay that happens when I mixed that last album we made. I mixed that at home, and I heard, because I could hear everything separated, I could hear even more interplay between us than I realised was going on. It was hilarious. I was just going, wow, look at that. He knows that he's going to do that. He's got that gap there when he does that bit. It's just hilarious.
Beautiful stuff.
It is truly good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.